Okay, we want to bring you a breaking news update right now about a subway train collision on the Upper West Side.
This is leading, obviously, to significant train delays. The MTA has an update for us. It's happening right now.
Was in revenue service. It did have customers on the train. The other was out of service. It had been vandalized, and our crew was attempting to fix that issue. The trains literally at slow speed, thankfully, bumped into each other just north of the station. We were able to evacuate a number of customers. I'll let the chief and our colleagues from fire and EMT talk a little bit about that process. I want to thank them, by the way, for, as usual, their quick response. A couple things. Thankfully, there were no serious injuries. Obviously, two trains should not be bumping into one another. We are going to get to the bottom of that. What we do know is that the out-of-service train had been vandalized. A number of emergency cords had been pulled earlier by someone. They were able to reset all of them except one, and that was the reason why that train was still stuck in the station. It was being operated in the midsection, so from the conductor position, although there was a train operator at the front of the train and two train supervisors as well. So 4 employees on the train that was out of service, and as I said, a couple of hundred customers on the train as well. Look, at the end of the day, thankfully this was low speed. We'll get to the bottom of this and make sure that whatever occurred doesn't happen again. Lastly, I do want to say that notwithstanding the lack of serious injuries, it's a little bit messy down there. It's going to take us a while to get this service back and running. We have crews down there now. I expect we'll be out there all night. And my hope is we will have service restored tomorrow for rush hour, but I cannot guarantee that. So I'm going to ask our customers who use the 1, 2, and 3 lines to continue to watch our website, our apps, and see how we're proceeding. But suffice to say, we will work hard to get service back by tomorrow morning, but that is not guaranteed. With that, I want to turn it over to Chief Kemper from NYPD Transit to say a few words. I'll come back for questions. Chief.
Thank you, President Davey. So this afternoon at about 3 o'clock, there were 2 transit canine officers who were assigned to this station, the 96th Street station. They were in the mezzanine area when they were approached by a male who said that he believes 2 trains collided downstairs. Based on that, the 2 officers within seconds were downstairs on that northbound platform, and what they came upon were 2 trains, both of them facing northbound, both of them side by side, and both of them were half in the tunnel and just about half out of the tunnel. The half that was out of the tunnel was adjacent to the platform area. Based upon what they came upon, they radioed that in, requested assistance, including additional police officers, as well as EMS and the fire department. They then boarded the trains in the attempt to see if they would come upon any injured passengers, which they did. They rendered aid, again, requested EMS to respond to the scene. And then those officers, along with additional officers that responded, helped people off the trains and onto the platforms to safety. With that said, there were a number of individuals removed to local hospitals. Fortunately, as President Davey said, and as you'll hear from the fire department shortly, none sustaining serious injuries, which we're very fortunate. With that, I'd just like to commend the responding officers from the NYPD. Again, no day is usual being a cop. Who could have thought of this? Who could have thought of just standing in a platform and being told that 2 trains derailed with multiple injuries? But the officers' response was exceptional. Everything we asked them to do. I'd also like to thank our partner agencies in the MTA and certainly in the fire department and EMS. Thank you.
Assistant Chief Mike Myers, M-E-Y-E-R-S. At approximately 1500 hours, our units were notified of 2 trains colliding. It took us about 3 minutes to arrive on scene. Once we arrived on scene, we began to do an assessment downstairs. They met up with their New York City Police Department transit counterparts downstairs, began to search for the emergency evacuation devices, which are devices that the MTA and the fire department have on each train station in order to help evacuate passengers in a train in case there's an instance like this, about being prepared in advance. They begin to locate those devices and also doing a structural assessment of both the trains and also the train tracks, and as well as request power off. Again, in a situation like this, it's incredibly perilous if we operate on tracks and have people on tracks that are live, because again, it causes a great danger to both the responder and also to people trying to get on and off the trains. So we requested that power off. The MTA complied with that, and we're able to start to begin evacuations of the folks on the train. Thankfully, in this case, as the trains collided, like they were talking about, my counterparts were talking about, we were able to coordinate together and get all of those folks off of the train without any large-scale significant injuries from that. I'll let EMS speak about the injuries in a second. But again, it takes in these scenes, whenever we have multiple agencies operating, what's great about that is everyone comes together and makes it happen, right? Because at the end of the day, we all have the same goal in mind, and that's for all of us to go home safe, and for all the people of the city of New York who ride in our subways to go home safe. And again, that's hopefully what we got done here today. So I'll let EMS talk about the injuries.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you, Chief. Deputy Assistant Chief Ian, IAN Swords, SWORDS. This afternoon around 3 o'clock, EMS received multiple 911 calls reporting a train derailment. Upon our unit's arrival here on the scene, they were met with several patients, knowing that there was a train involved and the potential number of patients that could entail. They began multiple casualty incident triage, where we check every person as they come off the train for injury, and if they are injured, for the severity of injury. Fortunately, nobody was seriously injured. The injuries that were sustained were consistent with a low-speed train derailment, and all of those patients have been removed to area hospitals.
How many people total between that car?
I'm sorry? Excuse me?
How many people total were between that car?
That I don't know.
I was told that each train had about 300 to 500 people on it. We had to evacuate the one train, and then we also had to evacuate a train that was in the tunnel behind it through that original train.
And we had a total of 24 people injured out of those numbers.
Just to be clear on Chief. So the train that that derailed, about 300 or so folks were on that. What the Chief was referencing is there was a train behind it, was not involved in the incident, but was stuck. We brought that in here to 96th Street. That had another 300-400 customers on it as well. They were evacuated safely. So the incident train had a couple hundred folks, as best we can tell, but we evacuated at least one other train as a result of the power being shut down.
And the other was empty, right?
And then the other, so the two incident trains, one was in revenue service that had a couple hundred folks, as the Chief said, that was evacuated. The other train was empty of customers. 4 employees were on that train. That was the train that was disabled, that had been vandalized, and they were trying to fix it.
All right, other questions? Who's got it? Anybody?
Sorry.
Yes. Was this operator error, or was there a switch problem? Where did the breakdown happen?
Yeah, so we're going to look at all those factors, obviously. Switch signal. At this point, there's nothing, or in equipment, there's nothing to suggest that it was equipment related. We will obviously look at human factors as well. I think it's a little too early to tell, but at this point, from what we can tell, the equipment was working as intended.
Yes, sir.
Is it true that some people were evacuated from the incident train by being taken onto the empty work train?
That is true. Yeah, that is true. Let me EMS want to explain it? Or fire, you want to explain that?
They're evacuated.
Yep.
What was the question again, just so I get it?
True. Some folks were telling us that they were evacuated by being taken onto the empty work train that initially hit them.
Sure. So in order, like the biggest thing with whenever we're evacuating people from one of these trains, again, we don't want them down on the tracks, right? The tracks create a hazard, right? Uneven ground. We don't know, again, the condition of who we have walking on those trains. So our main goal, as always, is to do a structural assessment of the trains. In this case, we found that they were both structurally okay for us to walk on and evacuate people through. So we'd rather keep people off that track bed and keep them on the trains and get them back to the platform. It just makes for a much easier, smoother evacuation and a much quicker one to get people off the trains.
So through that work train, they were able to get to the platform?
Yes.
Okay, anybody else?
Yeah, right here.
Yeah.
Was the number one train using the new CBT signaling system?
No.
Not that I'm aware of. No, yeah, I was saying there's no CBTC on the number one. So.
Struck train, is that,
No, there's no CBTC on the number one.
All right, anybody else?
Can you talk a little bit about how many cars were derailed? And then second, can you talk about security? Because you said that this train was vandalized. Cars were cut. You're coming off of people getting into a train a few days ago and taking it for a joyride, and then a couple months ago.
Well, hold on. They didn't take it for a joyride, but so there's a lot of narrative there. What's your question?
So can you talk about security?
Sure.
You mentioned that this is vandalized.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah, Chief, why don't you take that? Yeah.
So, as far as security, I opened up with when this occurred, we had NYPD cops in the station. They were on scene within seconds. They were here before 911 was even called. So, if you want to talk about security, at least today in this station, 2 cops were on scene.
I'm talking about the cords that were cut that had this train out of service.
Well, that's to be determined. I mean, that's right. That's to be determined as far as what occurred with that. That's an investigation. We don't have the answers for that yet. But as far as security in this station here, we had cops here.
All right, anybody else?
How many cars?
Last question. Go ahead.
How many cars in that train?
10 cars.
10 cars.
10 cars.
Okay.
All right, thanks everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Giving us an update there on what they're describing as a slow-speed subway derailment on the Upper West Side. We are learning that some 24 people were hurt in this. Thankfully, they're saying these injuries are not serious injuries. We're also getting a little bit of a background on how this train derailment may have happened. The MTA saying that they were working on an out-of-service train that had been vandalized when it collided with a passenger train carrying as many as 400 people, Adam.
And it all happened at the 96th Street stop along the 1, 2, 3 lines, with the MTA now saying there's going to be significant delays on those train lines throughout the night. They're hoping to get service back for the morning commute, but that's still to be determined. And we have live team coverage of the subway collision. Let's start with News 4's Ida Siegel on the Upper West Side. And Ida, we're talking hundreds of people on the train, including kids getting out of school.
Yeah, that's right. 3 o'clock, 3:30, you're going to have a really crowded Uptown number 1 train, and that's exactly what the case was here. We should show you some video shot by a passenger inside the train during the rescue effort. But we are learning more information from MTA officials and fire officials and even police officials at this news conference, which is that the work train that we reported on was actually a 1 train that had been vandalized and had been evacuated prior to this incident. There were 4 MTA workers on that train, and they were fixing the train, and it was moving northbound, and we were told earlier that it was switching tracks. A northbound number 1 train that had as many as 400 passengers on it was also headed in that same direction, and the 2 trains bumped, as the MTA put it, side by side, and that caused an enormous bang and jolt for all of those passengers on the train. A man we spoke with told me that he flew across the car he was in and hit a toddler in a stroller. The toddler is okay, but it was frightening for everybody, and he described the harrowing scene. Take a listen.
When we hit that other subway, we all went flying, and there were sparks. You could see like fire and sparks on the side windows. It quickly filled up with smoke, and everybody was yelling to open the windows. So everybody worked together to get the windows open. People panicking, lots of tears. People were scared. It was a really scary situation. Our car was completely tilted, so we were at a diagonal, even just standing and waiting the like 20, 30 minutes that we were down there. I'm not sure how long we were down there in the end, but we were actually standing at an angle. You could see the subway car to our right that we hit had buckled in seats, so clearly we did collide with that car, which was pretty much touching our car. Our window was to their window of the other car, but there were no passengers in the other car. So what?
And that's how they were able to evacuate. The way he described it was they walked onto the subway car that they hit and then walked down the length of that car back into the 96th Street station and then exited on the platform there. As we heard in the news conference, we're talking about almost 24 injuries, all of them minor. So that is certainly good news. Most likely bumps and bruises. You heard described that there were asthma attacks and people with panic attacks. I mean, it was definitely a frightening scene there, but all things considered, given the time of day and the number of people on the train, it's rather miraculous that there weren't more injuries or that the injuries that happened weren't more severe. So that is one good thing. As for the cause, clearly under investigation at this point, but they say, the MTA officials said they don't believe it was mechanical in nature. It appears as though there was not a problem with the switches, so they are investigating whether this was potentially human error or what could have possibly happened. But again, we have nearly 24 injuries, all minor. Everyone has been evacuated off of the train that derailed and the train behind it. And of course, we do not have train service running either north or southbound on the 1, 2, or 3 trains. That's the latest reporting live from the Upper West Side. Back to you guys.
Okay, no serious injuries. Good to hear. Ida Siegel, thank you so much.
Let's get to News 4's Andrew Siff live in Queens to give some context about the train derailment and the significant interruptions that commuters can now expect. Andrew?
Right. The first thing you should focus on is the word derailment. You heard the transit president say it. You heard emergency officials say it. So if indeed there was an actual derailment and the train is off the rails, the challenge for restoring service is they have to re-rail the train. That can sometimes require getting additional equipment into the tunnel. And given all the blockages taking place right now, that could be multiple hours doing so. So the first assessment is, to what degree do they have to re-rail the train? If it's off the rail, how do they get that train out of the way? The second thing they're going to be looking at investigation-wise is what happened to that lead train. Remember, the initial report that came out that this was some kind of a work train turned out not to be the case. As the transit president said, he describes it as a vandalized train. At the very least, it appears that somebody pulled the emergency brake. That used to be thought of as a prank, but MTA officials and police don't take it as a prank these days. Just look at what has happened in the aftermath if that's all they're talking about, someone pulling an emergency brake. But if that were the case, then comes the protocol. How do you then get that train back in service or out of the way? You heard the transit president say there were procedures of resetting that train, and there may have been one procedure they either didn't get to, forgot to get to, or didn't work. And so that's something that they're going to be investigating in terms of why pulling an emergency brake would lead to a train that's in the way for an arriving uptown train to collide with it that close to rush hour. Back to you guys.
We have really good information there, Andrew. It's going to be a while before they get that train back on the rails. Thank you so much. Let's go back now live to the scene on the Upper West Side. News 4's Checky Beckford is there with some new video, and I know there were no serious injuries, but serious scare for the passengers on that train, Checky.
Absolutely, Adam. And before we get to that video, I want to talk to you about somebody who just walked by here, actually. She was at the 86th Street station on a 2 train, she said, at the time when this happened. And she says that they were stuck on their train. They also had to be evacuated all the way down there. And she actually showed me video of people who were on the tracks, who'd gotten off her train, got on the tracks so that they could get up onto the platform. And we'll have some of that video for you later. But I want to right now talk to the woman that we talked to who was actually on that one train when it hit that other train, when it hit the train that was out of order. She talked about how she fell to the ground, hit her head, and thought she wasn't going to be able to make it off of the train. That's how intense the situation was. I'm going to step out of the way here so you can see the situation at 95th Street at the back end of the station here, where emergency service vehicles are blocking off the roadway right now. As Andrew mentioned, trying to get the situation underground fixed as soon as they can so that service can be resumed. As you heard the officials say there, that they don't expect this to happen until later this evening, hoping they'll be able to do that before rush hour tomorrow morning. Now, people on the train tell us that they actually smelled smoke as it began to fill the train cars. One woman said that she basically had hit her head and she saw blood on the ground. So when she heard that there were only about 24 people who had been injured, she was very surprised about that, and that there were no major injuries. She called it a miracle because it sounded, she said, like a bomb had gone off, and that many more people had been hurt, she thought. But of course, just again, great news that not so many people had any serious injuries. I want to play some of that interview that we had with her talking about what happened. Take a listen.
Everyone fell, everyone flew. Our train got slanted, so everyone was kind of holding on. I fell to the floor, I hit my head on the window, and people were just dropping stuff. Everyone was scared, and we were looking directly across to the other train. That train was basically crushed, kind of like this in half, and the floors were messed up. Everything, gas started leaking outside and coming inside the train. Everyone was covering their mouths because you just couldn't breathe. It was nasty air.
Just a harrowing experience right there, and you can imagine, and you saw some of that video of firefighters actually prying open the doors and the windows trying to get people out of that situation. And she mentioned too how just kind of surreal it was that she had to go through the train that was hit, had to go through that inoperable train with the floors buckled the way it was, just to be able to get safely from her train to the platform, because of course they could not go on the tracks. They don't want them on the tracks. So just a harrowing experience for so many people today, and of course it's causing all kinds of fallout this evening through the evening rush and possibly into tomorrow morning as well. We're live on the Upper West Side. Jackie Beckford, News 4, New York.